Have secret tunnels been found under Oprah's house, and what is the connection to Diddy's current scandal? We'll get into this and more today in Oprah's darkest secrets revealed for the first time ever. Rumors of a tunnel system below Oprah's home have been around for years, but with all the Diddy drama lately, the rumor is being dug up again. Of course, the alleged tunnels don't just have to do with Diddy. People have been accusing Oprah of being part of a larger kind of situation that is similar in theme to the Diddy stuff, that directly link her to some nefarious alleged activity involving forcing individuals into bad situations. The situation really caught fire when one woman claimed that not only was Oprah a key player, but that she had the address to a tunnel entrance. Adria English filed a lawsuit against Diddy, claiming she worked for Combs at the Hamptons and Miami parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claimed she was also forced to engage in actions she didn't want to do. She claimed she was told by Diddy that in exchange for her actions, he would help her and her then boyfriend break into the entertainment world in their respective industries. English alleges that he never kept up his end of the bargain. Now she is suing Diddy and those deemed his co-conspirators for $50 billion. Adria English did have legal representation, but they have since parted ways. The cited reason was irreconcilable differences. One of the lawyers claimed that English was disrespectful and self-destructive, making it impossible to continue representing her. However, the legal team did say that they never lost faith in her case, just in her. To which English has allegedly responded with, "I'm the client, you work for me." But how does this tie back to Oprah? A major point of conflict between English and her legal team was that they requested that English not speak to the media. Soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media, and the interview made its way around TikTok. English claimed that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She also made the bold statement, she sees what's going on because she's a participant. As of right now, no credible news site has confirmed that, or that a tunnel exists under any of Oprah's properties. I do not wish to discredit Adria English, just clarify that the information she shared has not been officially proven yet. Oprah has found her name next to Diddy in the headlines after people noticed how comfortable she appeared with the rapper in party snapshots. She is being accused of aiding disgraced music artist Sean Diddy Combs in his unlawful activities. As mentioned, Sean Diddy Combs is in some serious trouble right now after multiple people have stepped forward accusing him of doing a lot of things without consent and just generally being a really awful person, and definitely not the kind of guy you'd want your name next to, especially not if you're someone like Oprah, a personality who has established themselves over the years as someone in firm support of the movement. Coming back to haunt Oprah are the pics of her partying with Diddy at his own events and others. Many big Hollywood names have appeared on a Diddy guest list in the past, but not everyone has been a guest at a freak off. Diddy was known as the party host in the 2000s. He hosted massive birthday celebrations, the white attire parties, wild after parties. The bashes were known for being over the top and expensive, and everyone wanted to be there. It was a status symbol to be around that much wealth. Allegedly, sometimes the Diddy after parties were freak-offs, but many news sites report that by the time a party descended into a freak-off, oftentimes the famous faces had already left. But people aren't just accusing Oprah of attending freak-offs, but also helping put them on. Some sites even claiming she provided the victims. Remember the alleged tunnels we just talked about? Well, some people claimed that they connected Diddy's home to Oprah's, and that is how they did it. But unrelated to the Diddy tunnels are those that people claim to exist at her Hawaiian property. Over the years, many online sites and Facebook posts have accused the talk show host of having a private tunnel system underground the 1,000 acres she owns in Maui. Again, this is not yet proven. However, that doesn't mean her Hawaiian property is free of controversy. Many Native Hawaiians and others believe that Oprah should not own so much of the island. This particular controversy picked up again after the devastating fires in Hawaii. Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson set up a fund where people could donate to aid those affected. Having a billionaire and a millionaire asking people to donate left a bad taste in people's mouths, despite the pair putting forward a $10 million donation to jumpstart the fund. To summarize, when it comes to the Oprah situation in Hawaii, people want her to return her land to the Hawaiian people, and instead of asking the public to donate, to take up that responsibility herself, as she is likely in a much better financial position. From a completely different section of the world, we have Oprah's school scandal. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy was supposed to be a place where girls can learn and feel empowered, but a scandal soon tarnished that legacy. The dorm matron was accused by multiple students of acting inappropriately towards them. The matron was arrested and faced 14 charges. In addition to those of inappropriate physical contact, the matron was also accused of getting into a physical confrontation with a dorm parent and, separately, injuring 3 while operating a golf cart. This information was quite shocking when it first came out. However, when details from the hiring process of said dorm matron emerged, the sequence of events made a little more sense. While dealing with a different issue, it was discovered that the dorm matron was one of 8 women hired by the headmistress allegedly from a company called Party Design, which was not Oprah's intention. According to an article from CBS News, the star had wanted nurses to act as dorm matrons. Those hired were later found to be totally unqualified to handle the position, something the headmistress had been warned about. While dealing with the dorm matron situation, Winfrey had made some comments about losing confidence in the headmistress and doing an overhaul of the school, something the headmistress claims made it hard for her to find work after. This resulted in her suing Oprah for about $250,000 on the grounds of defamation. The 2 women eventually came to an agreement privately shortly before their scheduled court date. The school and Oprah's rumored Diddy connections aren't the first time Oprah has found her name tied to similar scandals. Oprah was pictured many times with the big Hollywood producer who had a very public falling out with the industry after his past came to light. Seal joined that conversation after he seemingly publicly called out Oprah on Instagram for her relationship to this producer. Seal posted a couple of photos featuring Oprah looking friendly with that man. The text reading, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution." Seal added his own caption to the photo, calling out an individual for hearing the rumors, but not doing anything about it. Seal might not have named names, but Oprah's face was hard to miss. Everyone assumed he was taking a dig at the talk show host. Seal claimed this wasn't the case, and it just happened to be Oprah in the picture with the man. It was more about the producer in the picture than the talk show host, and the text was to be taken as a generalization of the entertainment industry rather than a direct attack. But this caught more people's eye than anticipated, and it actually made some folks look into the relationship between the producer and host. One Quora user named Marina Cocaine claimed that there was a startling connection between the two. Back in 2019, 2 documentaries with similar themes premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, but only one seemed to earn media coverage and good reviews. One doc was about the previously mentioned producer, and the other about Michael Jackson. A Hollywood entertainment lawyer made the claim that in an effort to distract from his own doc, the producer and Oprah helped fund the Jackson documentary. Other than speculation and rumor, there is nothing out there to confirm if this is true or not. About the doc Oprah did help fund, she claimed she provided support because she believed the survivors and that this issue was too important to stay silent. However, Oprah has been accused of using her platform to uplift people over the years that turn out to be evil, like in the case of her segment on John of God. Originally thought to be something of a miracle healer, it was later discovered that the star of the segment was accused of over 600 instances of physically engaging with people without consent. John of God ended up receiving hundreds of years in prison for those charges, among others. Oprah gave this man a spotlight moment during her programming years prior, framing him in a good light. Since the accusations, his interviews were deleted from her site, and a note was put up in their place with the message that Oprah hoped justice would be served. Oprah is in some hot water right now after people have been connecting her name to Diddy's after she was seen on multiple occasions partying with the disgraced rapper. Diddy has had multiple lawsuits filed against him in the past year, accusing him of engaging with people without consent and generally being a horrible person and not the kind of guy you would want people thinking you're close to. Unfortunately, people have caught on to the past friendly relationship between Oprah and Diddy and now are accusing Oprah of being an accomplice in his crimes. As of right now, this has not yet been proven, but this incident with Diddy isn't the first time Oprah has been connected to some shady characters. Music artist Seal once publicly made his stance on Oprah. Oprah's close relationship with a famous disgraced Hollywood producer is what led to her seemingly getting called out by Seal on Instagram. Oprah was photographed many times with the big Hollywood producer who had a very public falling out with the industry after his past came to light. Seal joined that conversation after he posted a call out on Instagram that featured Oprah. Seal posted a couple of photos with text featuring Oprah looking friendly with the disgraced producer. The text reading, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they think you are the solution." Seal had his own piece to say, it seems, and added his own caption to the photo, calling out an individual for hearing rumors but not doing anything about it. Seal might not have named names, but Oprah's face face, again, was right there. She was hard to miss. Because she was featured in the photos, everyone assumed he was taking a dig at the talk show host. Seal claimed this wasn't the case, and it was more about the producer in the picture than the talk show host in the picture. It just happened to be Oprah with the man. He also claimed that the text was intended to be taken as a generalization of the entertainment industry rather than a direct attack. While this explanation does make sense, some people believe that Seal allegedly might have felt pressured into saying this just because Oprah's face was so heavily featured in the post. People found it odd that he would say it wasn't about her when he called out an individual, and there are plenty of other people pictured with the man that he could have used. It's definitely an odd situation. Oprah was also called out by 50 Cent for her relationship to the former Hollywood producer. This time, she was accused by the rapper back in 2019 for, in his words, going after one demographic of people and letting another get by with little resistance. But how do we get here? This feud has been going on for a while. It began when Winfrey publicly criticized his music and writing style, prompting 50 Cent to say, "Are you going to tell a painter what to paint? I'm an artist, why am I limited to what you feel should be said?" 50 Cent also made the comment that Oprah's prime audience was elderly white women or the parents of those that listened to him. He's also acknowledged that it was actually good for his brand that he did have some friction with Oprah. All that being said, it leads us to today. Oprah's past connections with that disgraced Hollywood producer is back on the forefront of everyone's minds now that Diddy's case is looking pretty similar in theme, and Oprah was also friendly with him too. Oprah helped fund a documentary called Leaving Neverland about two men that were sharing their stories about their experiences with Michael Jackson when they were young. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2019. Oprah funding this doc is not suspicious on its own. She is a prominent figure for the movement and often speaks about these issues. What made one Quora user suspicious was that this doc, Oprah Gave a Boost, was premiering at the same time as one about that previously mentioned producer. Some people believe this was a deliberate choice, as the Michael Jackson doc was submitted very close to the deadline, insinuating that after it came out that the doc was happening about the producer, they rushed to make another one that would hopefully drown out the noise. It is suspicious that only one seemed to earn media coverage and good reviews. A Hollywood entertainment lawyer made the claim that all that stuff about boosting this Neverland doc was in fact done in an effort to distract from the producer's own documentary. Even 50 Cent clocked that something was up. Although his frustrations lied less in the conspiracy that one doc was trying to suppress the other, and it was more concerned with the fact that with Oprah's track record at the time, it appeared that she was putting all her focus on condemning the actions of black men and leaving out white men like that producer. 50 Cent said, "I don't understand why Oprah is going after black men. This is sad. These documentaries are publicly convicting their targets and makes them guilty till proven innocent." Other than speculation and rumor, there is nothing out there to confirm if Oprah did fund the doc for nefarious reasons. She did speak on her decision to provide financial support, claiming she provided the support because she believed the survivors and felt that the issue was too important to stay silent. Earlier this year, Monique reiterated in a colorful rant how she feels about the talk show host. It happened during an appearance on a comedy tour. She also had a colorful sentence for Tyler Perry. Both Oprah and Perry served as executive producers on the Oscar-winning film Precious. Everything was going great during the filming of that movie, it seems. Monique was actually a big fan of Oprah, but then something happened between the two that completely flipped Monique's point of view on the host. Apparently, there was a disagreement regarding promotional appearances for the movie. Now, this just kicked off the feud. Oprah did something about a year later that cemented it. She invited Monique's estranged brother onto her show. Her brother had done some pretty terrible things to Monique as a child, so this wasn't received well. Speaking on it, Monique said, "You betrayed me, sister. Family is sacred, and we don't cross the line with family." Oprah is known for not shying away from tough topics, but many agree that this did seriously cross a line. Popular rapper Ludacris has a bone to pick with the talk show host, and during an appearance on her show, so did she. Oprah didn't have rappers on her show very much. It's not impossible, but it was rare. Ludacris was visiting as a part of the cast of Crash, so was an actor. But it appeared that Winfrey was less interested in his acting venture and more inclined to discuss his rap career and the language he uses, particularly his use of the N-word. Oprah doesn't agree with the word being used at all, and despite Ludacris being on the show for something completely separate from his music, Oprah's discussion with the man featured him needing to defend his use of the word. Ludacris later claimed that many of his arguments and comments were left out, but Oprah's left in. In an interview with GQ, he said, "Of course, It's her show, but we were doing a show on racial discrimination, and she gave me a hard time as a rapper when I came on there as an actor. He was also upset that other guests that also used this word, albeit in a different context, comedy versus rapping, when they were interviewed by the host, this issue never came up. It definitely made Oprah sound like the type to pick and choose when it came to those in the wrong. Oprah later confirmed that the pair ended up having a private conversation to talk things out. Angelina Jolie and Oprah Winfrey are both known for being philanthropists, but they do not seem to get along. Oprah hoped to join forces with Angelina Jolie in 2006 when she was opening up her Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. However, Angelina refused. This was kind of confusing because the school seemed like such a great thing for Angelina Jolie to work on. She has her own charity that donates thousands to girls' education all over the world, so why not here? Well, allegedly, Jolie wasn't very happy with Oprah taking Jennifer Aniston's side during the famous Jennifer, Angelina, and Brad love triangle. Whether this is the real reason or not, it turns out Angelina was better off not having her name attached to the academy anyways. The Leadership Academy officially opened in 2007, and 2007 was also the year of the school's first controversy. A female staff member was accused of acting inappropriately towards the young students, as well as physically conflicting with a dorm parent and injuring 3 while operating a golf cart. She was arrested and faced about 14 charges. As a result of that situation, Oprah made it clear that she was doing an overhaul of the school and made the comment that she had lost faith in her headmistress. The headmistress claimed that this made it very hard for her to find work after and ended up suing Winfrey on grounds of defamation for over $250,000. The two women settled things privately before their court date. But this saga, it isn't over yet. In 2023, a former staff member, a new one, came forward accusing the school's executives of abusing their power. Now it seems people on TikTok have started looking at the school with a magnifying glass and are creating all sorts of theories about what is going on at the academy. The academy for sure has given many girls access to education that wouldn't have had it and was even praised by Nelson Mandela. However, that doesn't excuse the horrible things that happened there. Well, on a walk back to her vehicle recently, Oprah was ambushed by a paparazzi with various questions about her recent involvement in the US presidential election. For those not aware of the situation, Oprah has been accused of being paid $1 million to appear at an event supporting Kamala Harris's campaign. TMZ obtained the exclusive video of this impromptu Oprah interview. It was quick and clear to viewers that Oprah did not want to engage, giving short answers and telling them multiple times that she wasn't going to answer their questions. The first question was about what Oprah thought of the election results, and her answer was sweet but firm in that she didn't want to discuss the matter. However, you can see her demeanor change when the cameraman presses on anyways, asking if it was true that she was paid to endorse Harris. Oprah spoke very clearly when she said that that wasn't true and that she was paid nothing ever. As the pop continued to ask various questions, Oprah got in her car, and as the door closed, it was clear the impromptu interview was over. But paid endorsement accusations aren't the only ones giving the talk show host grief right now. People eagerly await to see if Oprah will publicly comment on the situation with Diddy and everything that people are accusing her of providing the victims to the freak-offs, to having a connecting secret underground tunnel system within the rapper's home. There are all sorts of outlandish theories out there. The reason Oprah has found her name attached to Diddy in the headlines is because people noticed how comfortable she appeared with the rapper in party snapshots. As mentioned, Sean Diddy Combs is in some serious trouble right now after multiple people have stepped forward accusing him of engaging with them without consent, forcing people to consume things they don't want to, filming compromising situations, and then later using that footage as blackmail for people, and just generally being a really awful person, and definitely not the kind of guy you'd want your name attached to, especially not if you are someone as famous as Oprah, the kind of personality that has established themselves over the years as someone in firm support of the movement and amplifying victims' voices. Now, coming back to bite Oprah are all the pictures of her partying with Sean Diddy Combs at events he's hosted and others hosted by third parties. Here's the thing though, many big Hollywood names have appeared on a Diddy guest list, but not everyone has been a guest at a freak-off, which are the parties that everyone really has a problem with. Diddy was known as the party host in the 2000s. He hosted massive birthday parties, the white attire parties, wild after parties. The bashes were known for being over the top and expensive and extravagant, and everyone wanting to be there. A Diddy birthday invite was once a VHS featuring a dozen celebrities personally inviting the viewer, including Oprah actually. Another invite featured a literal golden ticket. It was a status symbol to be around that much wealth. The main parties were apparently often pretty standard as far as parties go. Allegedly, it was the Diddy after parties that were the freak-offs. Many news sites report that by the time a party descended into a freak-off, the famous faces would have already left. Like anything, there are always rumors online about various celebrities being caught at the events, like Oprah. But people aren't just accusing Oprah of attending freak-offs, but also helping put them on. Some sites even claiming she provided the victims. They claim that one way she would have brought people over is via an underground secret tunnel system connecting Oprah's home to Diddy's. Rumors of a tunnel system below Oprah's home have been around for years, but with all the Diddy drama lately, that rumor's being dug up again. Some TikTok users even claim to have access to and explore abandoned Oprah mansions. The tunnel situation really caught fire when one woman claimed that not only was Oprah a key player, but that she had the address to a tunnel entrance. Adria English filed a lawsuit against Diddy, claiming she worked for Combs at the Hamptons and Miami parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claims she was also forced to engage in actions she didn't want to do. She claims she was told by Diddy that in exchange for her actions, he would help her and her then boyfriend break into the entertainment world in their respective industries, music and modeling. English alleges that he never kept up his end of the bargain, and now she is suing Diddy and those deemed his co-conspirators for $50 billion. Adria English did have legal representation, but they have since parted ways. One of the lawyers claimed that English was disrespectful and self-destructive, making it impossible to continue representing her. However, the legal team did say that they never lost faith in her case, just in her. To which English allegedly responded with, "I am the client, you work for me." How does this tie back to Oprah? A major point of conflict between English and her legal team was that they requested that English not speak to any form of media, and soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media. And that interview made its way around TikTok gossip pages and conspiracy pages. English made the bombshell claim that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She also made the bold statement, she sees what's going on because she's a participant. And there appears to be a shortcut in the video, so it's unclear if her next statement came right after this line or if the video was edited, but the next words Adria English spoke in the video are, "I ain't gonna say allegedly, sue me." As of right now, no credible news site has confirmed that, or that a tunnel system exists under any of Oprah's properties, or that she was involved with or helped Diddy or anyone else with something like this. I do not wish to discredit Adria English, just clarify that the information she has shared hasn't been officially confirmed or fact-checked by a credible news site yet. Oprah has made little to no comment on the Diddy situation, but maybe it'll take a year until she does speak on the issue. That is what happened back in 2013 regarding her 2011-2012 nervous breakdown. In 2013, the talk show host admitted that the rumors circulating from the year before about how she was having a nervous breakdown were 100% true. She shared all this and more in an interview with Access Hollywood. Let's set that scene. Oprah is/was, if not the biggest talk show host back in 2011, so big that she could launch her own network. It was called the Oprah Winfrey Network, or OWN. What was supposed to be the start of a prosperous new chapter didn't really go according to plan. The network apparently struggled when it debuted, it struggled to take off, and it was struggling to stay up, to the point where Oprah started to suffer a nervous breakdown. The wind of this, when it was happening, it was in all the headlines, but Oprah kept to herself about it until a year later when she admitted it was all true. The talk show host shared that her breakdown was literally happening in the middle of her struggling network, and I do mean literally. She shared the moment she realized that she was breaking down when she was in the middle of doing voiceovers. She said, "I remember closing my eyes in between each page because looking at the page and the words at the same time was too much stimulation for my brain." She also shared that she started noticing other symptoms when she was interviewing Jason Russell in 2012. Their chat was all about his public breakdown, which included him running unclothed in the streets. Oprah never got to that point, let me assure you, but she did say that talking to Russell, hearing about his lived experience, his symptoms, clued her into the fact that she could relate and was experiencing some of them. Oprah explained in the Access Hollywood interview, "In the beginning, it was just sort of speeding and a kind of numbness and going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing." She also said she told herself, "All right, if I don't calm down, I'm gonna be in serious trouble." The talk show host acknowledged that she had worn herself thin and reached a breaking point, a point where she just couldn't handle any more stimulation. Oprah was always one to tell people to push through hard times and hold on to their dreams, and this situation was testing her ability to do just that. While her new network wasn't exactly tanking thinking it was doing poorly enough that it just wasn't where Oprah wanted it to be, and it could be considered a failure. The media was having a grand old time writing about the network's failure, which only made the wound hurt more. About this, Oprah had said, "Nobody was more surprised than I was about that." She then went on to talk about how this was the moment she realized that she needed to hunker down because, as she believes, there is no such thing as failure. She said that failure is just God telling you to move in another direction. Slowly but surely, the network started seeing their ratings improve to the point where Oprah stopped believing that she should be worried. The experience let her, in her words, walk that walk and not just talk it about following and sticking with your dreams.
So, for example, Seth MacFarlane, he actually addressed Winfrey's promotion of pseudoscience. Folks think of Seth MacFarlane and they think Family Guy. It's hard not to when he not only created it, but voices multiple characters of the hit show. But while many assume Seth wouldn't be the most learned or politically active of people based off of, well, everything about his hit TV series, you'd be wrong. Amid the pandemic in 2020, MacFarlane had a few words for Winfrey, and they weren't silly ones. To quote him, "Oprah has done some wonderfully altruistic things with her career, but the use of her platform to amplify the voices of dubious characters rather than legitimate scientists has been a disservice," MacFarlane wrote in a now deleted tweet. "I hope she will lend her own powerful voice to correct it." The post included an LA Times article link that discussed medical misinformation from Dr. Phil McGraw and Dr. Mehmet Oz. MacFarlane said Winfrey has mostly, quote, "used her platform for good" during a subsequent interview with Vice, but the exception is the elevation of these purveyors of pseudoscience. People like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, all the way back to Jenny McCarthy and the anti-vax movement, he continued, and it's a strange dichotomy that I think a lot of people, particularly right now, are having trouble reconciling. You know, this person who's done all this positive work for the world, and yet somehow they've still gotten caught up in this web of junk science on many occasions. So it's a tough thing to balance, he concluded, and expressed that people should be forming their own opinions and not be so quick to accept what's shown on Oprah's show. Meanwhile, an Oscar-obtaining obsessed Oprah had a mean streak against the actress and comedian Monique, who has never shied away from saying it. Monique is an SA survivor and she won an Oscar in 2010, so you know that makes her Oprah's arch nemesis if you know anything about Oprah. And wouldn't you know it, it's the same year that Oprah chose to invite her onto the show and surprise her with her whole family coming on stage during the interview, including the brother who had SA'd her. So Oprah allowed Monique's parents and her brother to then berate and gaslight her on national TV, and in the interview, Oprah also acknowledged that she was aware of the beef between Monique and her mother at the time she did this. Monique confronted Oprah about going behind her back and exploiting her trauma for views, clicks, and attention, and Oprah said she would check into that, but never called Monique back. Monique then confronted Oprah the next time they saw each other in person at a celebrity event, and Oprah issued a half-assed apology under, peer perspective. Within a month though, she's gotten Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels to help her engage in a smear campaign which labeled Monique as difficult to work with, and other meager rumors, all because she was not okay with Oprah exploiting her trauma in a way she didn't approve of. Monique's career suffered as a result, and when asked about the events that transpired, a very defeated Monique said in 2015 sarcastically that, "I wasn't blackballed, I was whiteballed. Thank you, Miss Winfrey, thank you, Mr. Perry, and thank you, Mr. Daniels." Ludacris was given the third degree on his Oprah visit once, appearing on the show to promote Crash 2004. He claimed she ambushed him with criticism about his hip-hop lyrics, instead of talking about the critically acclaimed movie he was there to plug. And the interview was even edited in Winfrey's favor. "She edited out a lot of my comments while keeping her own in," Luda told GQ. "Of course, it's her show, but we were doing a show on racial discrimination, and she gave me a hard time as a rapper when I came on there as an actor." He added, "Initially, I wasn't even invited on the show, and they called me the night before to tell me I could be on. So after the taping, she pulled me into the room, and we have a 5-minute conversation. What I got was that by having rappers on her show, she feels like she's empowering them, and that's a bad thing. It was like being at someone's house who doesn't really want you there. It was already uncomfortable." The Beast Mode MC added that she criticized him for using the N-word in his lyrics, and said, "I don't see why people like Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, who I'm huge fans of, it's okay for them to go on Oprah. They speak the same language as I do, but they do it through comedy, so I guess that's acceptable to her." Ice Cube had similar feelings to Luda. The NWA founder expressed he'd always felt ostracized by Winfrey intentionally because he was never invited on her show, despite many of his cinematic co-stars always being invited to chat with her on air. Sometimes entire main casts of productions Ice Cube was part of were brought onto Oprah's shows, with Ice always being told he was not on the invite list. To quote him, "I've been involved in seen 3 major projects pitched to her, but I've never been asked to participate, the NWA founding member told FHM in July of 2006. For Barbershop 2002, she had Cedric the Entertainer and Eve on, but I wasn't invited. Maybe she's got a problem with hip-hop. Ice also added a pretty savage point that she's had damn R-wordists and child creepers and lying authors on her show. And if I'm not a rags to riches story for her, who is? Back to her Oscar obsession, you'll notice Oprah snubbed 2 celebrity winners, so this is a double trouble segment. First, in author Katie Kelly's unauthorized Oprah a biography, Kelly claims that Whoopi Goldberg and Winfrey got testy after Goldberg was nominated for an Oscar in her role in The Color Purple 1985, but Oprah wasn't. The book notes that following Goldberg's honor, the comedian never appeared on Winfrey's show again and was noticeably shunned from Winfrey's 2006 Legends Ball. It wasn't until Winfrey invited the entire cast of The Color Purple onto her show that she and Goldberg reconnected, and they addressed the perceived bad blood between them. Turns out it was just a misunderstanding, according to Oprah, allegedly, because Angelica Houston had also been treated the same since Oprah's Oscar nomination and loss in 1986. The Oscar winner, Houston, explained she had never had me on her show, ever, and now she won't talk to me. The only encounter I've had with Oprah was when I was at a party for the Academy Awards at a private residence. I was talking to Clint Eastwood and she literally came between us with her back to me. So all of a sudden, I'm confronted with the back of Oprah's head. When asked why the normally classy Winfrey behaved that way towards Angelica, Houston candidly calls it how she perceives it. Well, nobody else would dislike me so much so as to literally physically come in between the person I was talking to. God knows she's made some big steps. If you're so obsessed with obtaining an Oscar, you have a temper tantrum that continues on for 38 years, 38 with someone you've never spoken to before or after, that's crazy. That's bat bleep crazy. And one family with a bone to pick is most definitely the Jacksons. Janet Jackson was reportedly livid with Winfrey after the talk show host invited the children of her late brother Michael Jackson onto her show in 2010. She thinks Oprah took advantage of Michael's children for TV ratings. Janet told her Michael would be heartsick that Oprah used the kids as pawns, a source told the National Enquirer at the time. The 2 women had a blistering blow up during a telephone call on the day that the show was taped. When Oprah made it clear that she was going ahead with the interview, Janet screamed, "Oprah, you make me sick." Janet and Michael's brother Randy Jackson was also not a fan of Winfrey. After Winfrey interviewed their parents, Joe and Katherine Jackson, in October of 2010, Randy was reportedly furious and tweeting, "I know how Oprah feels about my brother and family." According to TMZ, Randy followed these tweets up claiming that Winfrey was airing episodes about predators during Michael's 2005 trial as a deliberate airtime move. Randy also believed Winfrey wanted Michael in jail and wanted to profit off of getting him there however she could. To quote, "That was no coincidence. She is the last person on earth Michael would want around his children." Oprah's interactions with Jonathan Franzen was a warning in of itself as well, without the man ever having to say a peep about it. So the famed author began his beef with Winfrey when he dissed her legendary Oprah's Book Club in 2001 by telling Salon that her choices for it were one-dimensional and schmaltzy. Absolutely accurate on Jonathan's end, and it seems, just to stick it to him, Oprah then chose his book, The Corrections, for her book club in response. Jonathan got the message. He's put in an awkward position. Admit, as an author, his work is one-dimensional and schmaltzy because it's part of her book club he described that way, or damage his sales. Franzen's decision was a hard one, and he expressed feeling conflicted, and that "I don't see this as my book, my creation. I didn't want that logo of corporate ownership over it." It wasn't the answer Oprah wanted, however, and in response, she rescinded her offer to host Franzen on her show, and then Franzen had his book sales threatened. This forced the author to backpedal on his remarks and claim that they were taken out of context, saying, "I said things that ended up hurting Winfrey's feelings. I feel bad because the person being hurt is actually a really good person for American writing and reading," he generically told the New York Times. It seems the subtle threats worked because Franzen got back in line and these two made peace. In 2010, Winfrey chose another one of his books, The Freedom, for her book club and hosted him on the show. Cindy Crawford was also made to low-key pimp herself out, otherwise face Oprah's wrath. Last year, supermodel Cindy Crawford, 58, spoke out about how Oprah Winfrey, 68, made her feel like chattel or a child to be seen seen and not heard when the TV host had her back on the show in 1986 when she was just 20 years old at the time. During the interview, Oprah asked the young model to show off her body, which Crawford now interprets as a moment where she had to prove her worth, as proven in how Oprah's heard even introducing the young model. Did she always have this body? Stand up for just a moment. Now this is what I call a body. Reflecting on how she felt in that moment, Cindy admitted, when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah's like, stand up and show me your body, show us why you're worthy of being here. The mom of two continued, in the moment I didn't recognize it, and watching it back I was like, oh my gosh, that is so not okay really, especially from Oprah. Many of Hollywood's elite fully support Winfrey, even when she behaved like this since the 80s, but Scream star and Me Too activist Rose McGowan isn't one of them. McGowan tweeted in 2014 a photo of Winfrey kissing the cheek of a certain disgraced producer and director that was taken down by the Me Too movement. You know the one. He and Oprah had been very close and had numerous business ventures together, which probably inspired Rose to write this following message. I am glad more is seeing the ugly truth of @Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't. From being pals with director's name to abandoning and destroying Russell Simmons' victims, she's about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. She is as fake as they come. #Lizard. McGowan captioned the tweeted image. Winfrey previously addressed the controversy, saying she didn't know about the director's alleged actions with women, but McGowan's one of those who've been outspoken against the producer and pointing fingers at his friends, such as Oprah. Which leads us to our last finger pointer, Seal. I know, right? Kinda like an odd guy to top it off with, but the dude really went in on her. See, after the Me Too stuff came out and just days after the Golden Globes in January 2018, the singer posted a meme on Instagram, one consisting of several photos of Winfrey cozying up with the aforementioned evil Me Too director, including one where it appears like Winfrey's pushing singer Rita Ora towards the disgraced movie mogul. Seal captioned the images in a seeming response to Oprah's insistence she knew nothing of the disgraced actor's doings. Oh, I forgot, that's right. You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially violating young starry-eyed actresses, who in turn had no idea what they were getting into. My bad. Meanwhile, the meme itself read, when you've been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution. So, viewers, is she part of the problem, or is Oprah just conveniently terrible to a bunch of people and they all dislike her for valid reasons? You decide! Better yet, argue amongst yourselves in the comments.
Starting off, she uses Ozempic. Now, Oprah is known for being the face of Weight Watchers. She'd promote it all the time and maintain that if you followed the program, you would get results like her. Well, it seems like she got a little help from the magic weight loss drug, Ozempic. She's finally admitting to using weight loss drugs and said, in taking weight loss medication, I'm not constantly thinking about what the next meal is gonna be. She uses it in combination with hiking 3 to 5 miles a day, running, weight resistance training, and eating a healthy diet. This is what I got for the first time after I took the medication. All these years, I thought all of the people who never had to diet were just using their willpower, or they were for some reason stronger than me, Oprah said. And now I realize y'all weren't even thinking about the food. It's not that you had the willpower, you were obsessing over it. Yikes. So it seems like she was just selling lies to people who just wanted to feel better about their bodies. Up next is the Maui Fund. Dwayne Johnson and Oprah Winfrey launched the People's Fund of Maui, a fund intended to put money directly into the hands of adults displaced by the deadly wildfires that had ripped through Hawaii in August 2023. Now, according to their Instagram post, every adult resident who's displaced by the fires was eligible to receive $1,200 each month from the fund. Now, the pair noted that they had kicked off the campaign with $10 million in donations, and asked others to help by contributing further. After announcing the fund, the pair drew criticism from some people on social media who questioned why they were not contributing more of their personal wealth. One person on TikTok called their video tone deaf. Some commenters questioned why the pair, as wealthy celebrities, were asking others to give instead of donating more themselves. We can't afford it, but you can, one person commented on their video on TikTok. You guys make more in a day than I'll make in my lifetime, another person wrote. Now, others questioned why the appeal for donations was being directed to the general public rather than their fellow stars with more financial means. This is disgusting, ask other celebrities, not people who are living paycheck to paycheck, another person said.
Moving on to being exploitative. Critics have accused Oprah of sensationalism and exploitation in her talk show's early years. For example, there was an incredibly uncomfortable Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen interview that makes us cringe today. In 2004, Mary-Kate and Ashley were guests on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and at the time the interview took place, the twins were only 17 years old, and Mary-Kate had been hounded by the press about her weight, with intense media speculation that the star was suffering from an eating disorder. Oprah says, "I know there's been a rumor that has recently surfaced that's really upset you," and Mary-Kate and Ashley were both clearly taken aback by the question, and a tense moment of silence followed, by Oprah saying, "You know, the one about eating." Now Mary-Kate was so thrown off by the line of questioning that she looked almost on the verge of tears, and Ashley jumped in to rescue her. "Yeah, you know, people are going to write what they're gonna write," they say. After some awkward back and forth, Oprah asked the Olsen twins what dress size they are, and they reacted uncomfortable by saying, "I don't know." It was obvious that the questions about their bodies were uncomfortable, but Oprah still pushed. When they said they weren't sure, Oprah hit back sarcastically saying, "Oh, you're not sure? That's interesting." Now later the same year that the Oprah interview aired, Mary-Kate checked into a rehabilitation facility to seek treatment for a food-related health disorder, and Oprah should be ashamed of asking all of that. Then there's promoting pseudoscience. In 2007, Oprah brought Jenny McCarthy, the Playboy model and actress, onto her show to talk about autism. Jenny's young son, Evan, had suffered a series of seizures at 2.5 years old and was later diagnosed with autism. Now, Jenny was adamant that the MMR vaccination Evan received as a baby caused his autism. Oprah gave her story a platform and unwittingly started the panic we know today. Now, during the interview, Oprah never challenged Jenny's views either. Not to mention, she promoted the self-help book and film The Secret, which promotes the law of attraction, and many people accused her of promoting pseudoscience here as well. Now let's talk about the Letterman feud. Both Oprah and David Letterman effectively banned each other from their shows for 2 decades after a mysterious feud. Oprah had her talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, and Letterman had his late-night show, The Late Show with David Letterman. Now the feud started back in the 80s when Oprah made an appearance on The Late Show and felt that it was an uncomfortable experience. Now this made her refuse to be a guest on the show again. In response, Letterman began cracking jokes about Oprah and how much she hated him. Now this might have contributed to exaggerated rumors about her feelings towards him, but in any case, regardless of how much truth there were in these rumors, she did not speak to him for 16 years. Since then though, the two have made up a couple of times, but they've buried the hatchet and appeared on each other's shows. Now we have her dark upbringing. Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenage mother and grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising Oprah became too much for her mother to handle, so she was sent to live with her biological father. Since then, Oprah has come forward talking about how she's been mistreated and taken advantage of by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. Now at 13, after suffering for years, she ran away from home, and at 14, she became pregnant. She gave birth to a son, but he was premature and died only a few weeks later, and she was able to overcome all of this, but man, she had it rough. On to her promoting a fake book. Oprah has a book club and she added James Frey's book A Million Little Pieces to the reading list. Now when James was promoting his books on talk shows or other media outlets, it was referred to as a memoir. But large parts of the stories were later found out to be exaggerated or fabricated, sparking a media controversy. Now this was discovered after an investigation was conducted by The Smoking Gun. They determined that James had actually fictionalized some of the story, and controversy arose after Oprah initially defended the book, but she later confronted James on her show. Now there's her medical ties. I think Seth MacFarlane said it best in 2020 when he said, "Oprah has done some wonderfully altruistic things with her career, but the use of her platform to amplify the voices of dubious characters rather than legitimate scientists has been a disservice," he wrote in a now deleted tweet. I hope she will lend her own powerful voice to correct it. Now the post included an LA Times article link that discussed medical misinformation from Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, who Oprah supports. The exception to that is the elevation of these purveyors of pseudoscience. People like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, all the way back to Jenny McCarthy and the movement, he continued. And it's a strange dichotomy that I think a lot of people, particularly right now, are having trouble reconciling. You know this person has done all of this positive work for the world, and yet somehow has gotten caught up in this web of junk science on many occasions. Next up, we have being rude to guests. Now, throughout her career, Oprah has been called out for not being as sensitive as she perhaps could have been. An interview she did with Dolly Parton in 2003 has resurfaced, with people questioning the star and her interview tactics. Some people have questions about what Oprah was asking Dolly, how she was asking, and what exactly her goal was by probing for personal information. Now, in the first video, Oprah asked Dolly how she's able to look so good for her age, and Dolly gives her a funny answer. Now, Oprah presses harder though, noting that Dolly has been open about having cosmetic work done, but Dolly rolls with the punches and admits to it. Now, Dolly even says that she'll probably continue going under the knife, and some people are pointing out that Oprah looks disappointed that Dolly flipped it in her favor. Now, a second clip from that same interview popped up as well, and Oprah dives right into a heavy subject, saying she heard Dolly fell into a huge depression at age 40. Now, she doesn't really approach the topic with any sensitivity, and that's rubbed people the wrong way. And lastly, we have the scandal in South Africa. When the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Sidney Poitier, Spike Lee, and Oprah herself attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the landmark boarding school, founded with $40 million of Oprah's money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny McGabo of mistreating them and taking advantage of them. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said, of returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating, experiences in my life. It seems like she and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running, as this all could have been avoided."
So coming up first on the list, we have the NDAs. Now, confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Now, over 500 of Oprah's staff members were forced to sign the document, and one former employee, Elizabeth Cody, tried to write a book about her time working for Oprah, but she was apparently stopped by the courts as she was still tied to the agreement that she signed. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to keep just show secrets safe, but to keep any and all of Oprah's personal secrets safe as well. Now, according to Elizabeth, the document was signed by almost everyone in her life, on and even off of set. It's said that she may have this look of sweetness and kindness, but that's not how she is at all. Elizabeth felt that she was in Oprah's pocket after she signed the paperwork. Then in 2010, a lawsuit was filed against Oprah and her company after Unica's Performance Training claimed that they were fired for violating the terms of her agreement, specifically involving advertising with her name or the website of the show. Now, up next, we have her stepmom exposing her. Now, on air, Oprah is portrayed as a wholesome, sweet lady, but according to her stepmom, there is an unknown side to Oprah, hidden from fans for years. Now, according to Barbara, who is her stepmom, Oprah may be one of the most controlling people you will ever meet in your entire life. She claims that Oprah would not allow them to stay at her house when they tried to visit, forcing them to stay in hotels with money out of their own pocket. Barbara also said that Oprah was quick to anger when it came to her staff, with several people being fired and left and right over the years, but couldn't come out about the situation because of the NDAs. But that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara allows Oprah to stay at her house for visits, something that Oprah actually hated. The first time she stayed over, Oprah allegedly complained that her bed sheets were not 1,000 threads and that her bath towels were not big enough. This woman has billions of dollars to do anything she wants, and what she wants is to make her family feel like a burden. Next up on the list, we have the supplement overload controversy. Now, Oprah has had plenty of controversial people on her show, from so-called medical experts to psychologists to celebrities. Now, whatever is good for TV is good for Oprah. Now, one particular incident that caused a ton of backlash for Oprah was when she did an interview with Suzanne Somers. Now, she was brought onto the show to share her beauty secrets and how she was able to look so young. Now, according to some, this treatment that she does on a regular basis will help, and Suzanne claimed that she rubs estrogen cream into her skin on one arm and smears progesterone into the other arm, and progesterone is a fancy way of saying steroids. She claimed that she took 60 supplements and vitamin A's a day, which was 40 in the morning and 20 before bed. What really stirred the pot was that this woman claimed to be a health expert and a self-author, but surprise, surprise, she actually was not. Medical experts actually started bashing Oprah, claiming that this type of extreme hormone therapy would actually be the cause of several diseases and illnesses like cancer. Now, despite Suzanne's claim that her specialty made non-FDA approved bioidenticals are natural and safe, they are actually just synthetic, conventional hormones that you can buy from a pharmacy. Now, Oprah did everything in her power to sell this idea to her audience, believing 100% that the methods were useful, even claiming that she had used the methods herself that made her feel so incredible. So this lady would rather risk her audience getting cancer than just telling the truth. Up next, we have her billionaire advocacy. Now, Oprah has been claiming to be many things since the Maui backlash has begun. Now, a good boss and a charitable woman and an advocate for the island of Maui. Now, by starting this fund and donating her spare millions, she had made her mark in the public as a woman who cares. So much that she is asking you to give her money. Isn't that so sweet? The main reason that people believe that Jason has not spoken on Oprah is because he knows that she is an absolute phony. So as mentioned, Oprah would not care about Maui or its people if she didn't have vested stake on the island. Now, Oprah has had property in Maui for quite some time, being almost a second home to her at times. When the fire started raging, she started fundraising. Up next, we have what the free and free really means. Now, who could forget Oprah's famous words, "You get a car"? Now, this moment was historical on her series and has been said over and over and over again. However, what almost no one knows is that it's not as simple as here, take the keys and drive away. Now, when someone gives out anything on television, there is always a catch. Now, for Oprah's audience, the catch was that if they actually wanted to drive away in their brand new car, they would actually have to pay over $7,000 in taxes first. Now, while Oprah's studio would cover the sales tax and registration for each car, the audience members were given a choice to either pay $7 grand and take the car, or simply just take the cash instead. Now, the infamous moment on the show featured 11 real teachers who were, according to Oprah, in desperate need of a new car. They, along with the audience, received keys in a box on camera that Oprah claimed to be their new car. Now, everything has a catch, even now. Now, for someone who is known for being charitable and generous, the word free clearly meant something different to Oprah. Now, up next on the list, we have Stand Up Cindy. Now, Cindy Crawford, who is a model and actress, has called Oprah out over their 1986 interview that took place on her show, where Oprah asked the then 20-year-old to expose herself to the crowd. Now, Crawford reflected on the interview in a new documentary called The Supermodels. The documentary focuses on the careers of several models like Linda Everlist and, of course, Cindy Crawford. Now, in a clip from the documentary, Winfrey is heard introducing the then aspiring supermodel to the Oprah Winfrey show before she asks, "Did she always have this body? This is unbelievable, stand up." She actually made her stand up, and then she said, "This is what I call a body." Now, Cindy, as anyone else would be, was visibly uncomfortable and was standing up for the studio audience as they cheered when they showed off her figure. Now, according to Cindy, she felt like a child at the moment being told what to do by her superior. Now, she felt that at the moment, she was more of a show us why you're worthy of being here. Now, at the time, this was just some weird thing Oprah asked her to do, but it morphed and mutated into one of the most uncomfortable moments of her early years in modeling. Now, the most shocking thing for her was the fact that Oprah Winfrey, trying to tell her what to do, the woman known for her kindness and generosity, made her feel like a puppet. Now, up next, we have Where's the Beef? So in the spring of 1996, the United Kingdom apparently experienced an outbreak of mad cow disease. Now, according to the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous system, and if humans eat the infected meat, we'll basically get sick and turn into zombies. But but they can actually contract a deadly variant called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Now, during the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey show booked Howard Lyman, who was a rancher who adopted a vegetarian lifestyle and went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Animal Welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cow to Americans. He pointed out that feeding the remains of mad cows to already infected cattle or other animals could have facilitated the spread, and that those types of practices were common in the US. Now, Oprah was visibly disgusted and right then and there vowed that she would never eat a burger again. Now, her influence and her millions of viewers were so large that only a few hours after the episode aired and she declared she'd never eat a hamburger again, the price of beef stock plummeted, staying at an all-time low for over 2 months. One Texas rancher actually lost an estimated $6.7 million and organized a class action lawsuit against Oprah and her show for talking trash about American beef. Then, after a 6-week trial, she actually won, leaving one man with no farm and out of $1,000 in legal fees, all because she was disgusted. Now, up next, we have Oprah's stance on weight loss. Now, Oprah Winfrey has been called out for using weight loss medication despite being a longtime ambassador for Weight Watchers. Now, the famous talk show host has confirmed that she uses an unnamed substance to help her control her weight. Now, in a revealing conversation, Oprah said her new slim figure is thanks to the medication and a healthier lifestyle overall. She said, "I now use it as I feel I need it, and the fact that there's a medically approved prescription for managing weight and staying healthier in my lifetime feels like a relief, like a redemption, like a gift, and not something to hide behind and once again be ridiculed for." She went on to say, "I'm absolutely done with the shaming from other people and particularly myself." However, the fans felt the billionaire was being hypocritical given that she is a proud spokesperson for Weight Watchers, a company she has worked with since 2017. Now, next up on the list, we have her exposing herself. Now, Oprah is top on the list for getting exposed because she has been doing it to herself since day one. Now, her talk show is all about bringing the most vulnerable people onto the show to get views. She's brought violence victims, health experts, and fake psychologists and convicted felons onto her programs, all for the sake of profit. As the years went by, her style was adapted by more and more studios, creating shows like Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, both equally as controversial. Now, not to mention a few years ago when she wrote a book detailing her early life and rise to the top, revealing some truly dark truths about her life at home. Now, she herself was considered to be a menace by her own family, but it seems to be whatever negative juju lived in the house rubbed off on Oprah 100%. Now, last on the list, we have Seal and Hank. This man may be known for his vocal chops, but he should be known for his meme-making abilities. Now, just days after the Golden Globes, Seal posted a meme on Instagram consisting of several photos of Oprah Winfrey cozying up with a man whose name I am not allowed to say on the internet because he is so horrendous. Now, he is the guy who produced half of Quentin Tarantino's movies, and he was actually the main cause of the Me Too movement, and for the rest of this segment, he will be referred to as Hank. So Oprah and Hank were photographed spending time together, and one photo even made it look like Oprah was pushing singer Rita Ora toward Mr. Hank. Now, Seal captioned the image saying a bunch of stuff that I can't quote here, but the meme itself said, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution." I'm not sure how deep this feud goes on, but from the surface it seems that the Seal has been trying to warn us that something is up for years.
Number 10. Fabricated Memoir. Oprah launched her book club in 1996, a reading encouraging segment for her talk show that turned any book that she chose into a bestseller. In September of 2005, Winfrey picked A Million Little Pieces, a brutal and painful memoir by James Frett about his years-long struggle with substance control issues. Now, A Million Little Pieces became the best-selling non-fiction book of the year, and Frey was asked to appear on her talk show to discuss the book that Oprah called gut-wrenching. However, the following year, a news outlet ran a very expositive article about Frey after it was discovered that he had made up or juiced large portions of his memoir. For example, there is a section of the book that tells a story of Frey surviving a fatal train crash that took the lives of 2 teenagers. Yeah, he was never on that train, nor did he have any involvement in that situation. That was just something he thought it was neat to put in his book. Weeks after the article broke, Oprah asked Frey to return to the show, where he faced livid viewers and an even more livid Oprah. She told James that she felt felt duped and betrayed, a feeling that was shared by her audience and millions of readers around the world. She asked why James felt the need to lie to herself and to her readers, and he tried everything, making every excuse that he could think of. He claimed that he altered a lot of the details, but that the overall plot was real. Yeah, that claim caused the studio audience to respond with a massive wave of boos, gasps, and groans. Winfrey later apologized for the mistreatment from her audience, as it was not really her intention, but the damage was already done. His career as a writer is non-existent. Number 9. Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan have appeared in the public eye more and more in the past few years. After leaving the duties of their royal family to live on their own, they decided to capitalize on their so-called fame by releasing a series of different medias, books, podcasts, documentaries, and in 2021, they sat down with Oprah Winfrey to air every single piece of dirty laundry that they had left in their hamper. Of course, the royal family does not appreciate their secrets being shared with the entire world, so not only was everyone blacklisted by them, but the interview kinda soiled their reputations as good people. According to fans of the Oprah Winfrey Show, the interview made the couple look more villainous than it was intended. Following the interview, their public image was slightly tainted, and with more media coming out, it made the situation so much worse. Meghan got a podcast and couldn't come up with material for the first year. They made a documentary that people didn't like, so who knows what they'll get up to next. It certainly won't be anything good. Number 8. Lance Armstrong. 7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong has gone down in history as a man who is unable to ride a bike without chemical training wheels. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2013, Lance was brought on to discuss the allegations floating around regarding his status as a Tour de France winner. Several sources claimed that Lance had to take performance-enhancing substances to win all of his races, as well as a type of transfusion involving the red life juice that lives inside all of us. Armstrong went on air and fessed up to every single thing that they were claiming he had done. However, he did deny the notion that he was some kind of a mastermind who was controlling his teammates and forcing them to join in his extracurricular activities. But amidst his admission of guilt, say that 10 times fast, I can't even do it once, there was a moment where he tried to pin the situation on his battle with cancer. He wraps it up by saying he should have tried harder to cancel the culture rather than create more of a problem. He was stripped of all 7 Tour de France titles and has since lived in exile among the cycling world. Number 7. Where's the beef? In spring of 1996, the United Kingdom apparently experienced an outbreak of bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease, because I can't pronounce that. According to the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous systems, and if humans eat the infected meat, we get zombies! No, but they can contract a deadly variant called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. During the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey Show booked Howard Lyman. The former cattle rancher had adopted a vegetarian lifestyle and went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Co-Science animal welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cow disease to Americans. He pointed out that feeding the remains of a cow to an infected cattle or other animals could facilitate the spread, and that such practices were common in the United States. Oprah was stunned and vowed that she would never eat a burger ever again. Her influence and her millions of viewers, though, were so large that only a few hours after this episode aired and she declared that she'd never eat a burger again, the price of beef stocks plummeted, staying at an all-time low for 2 months. One Texas rancher lost an estimated $6.7 million and organized a class action lawsuit against Oprah and her show for talking trash about beef. Well, after 6 weeks of the trial, she won, leaving one man with no farm and out thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees. Number 6. Tom Cruise. Despite this guy being in the Mission Impossible franchise, he has been in a lot of movies produced by himself. You didn't think Hollywood forgot about Oprah Winfrey's interview with him, did you? I certainly will never. Following the announcement that he was engaged to Katie Holmes in the early 2000s, Tom appeared on an episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show. That is surely the most chaotic moment in TV history. From the moment he steps on stage, things just start to go horribly wrong. He throws his arms up in the air, he rubs her like she's a genie, and he's trying to get a lamp out. Seriously, I'm not sure what his thought there was, but he was nuts. Tom jumped on her couch, he grabbed her hands over and over again. She couldn't even get the questions that she had out. Eventually, Oprah was like, I don't care anymore, just bring this lady out. And the cameras followed him around as he ran through the studio trying to find her. Looks like a nature guy running through a jungle with his camera crew. The moment cemented Tom as a man with many hidden personalities, and while it has not affected his work as an actor per se, ever since that day, whenever he's brought in for press or any kind of interviews, interviews, all entrances and exits must be locked. Again, this guy may be in movies still, but it's rarely anything new or exciting. Number 5. Jay Leno. In 2004, NBC announced that the late-night host Conan O'Brien would be taking over as the full-time host of The Tonight Show, replacing Jay Leno in 5 years. When those 5 years passed and it was time to upgrade, NBC did not want to lose Leno to another network, so they gave him his own talk show in a primetime spot. The Jay Leno Show failed to capture an audience, and The Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien was not an instant ratings smash. So, by the early 2010s, NBC had dismissed Conan and threw Jay back into the fold. Jay became public enemy number 1. People thought that he was the reason Conan lost his job. Oprah invited Leno onto the show to share his side of the story, and he didn't do much to save face. He wrote the entire thing off as dramatic and a mess, and then decided to play the victim card, claiming that he felt sucker punched by the backlash. He also admitted that when he announced his eventual resignation, that he was 100% lying to everybody's face. He wasn't getting out of there anytime soon. He then argued very passive-aggressively that NBC was right to reinstall him because under Conan's poor ratings, it marked, in his words, the first time in 60 years of The Tonight Show that it would have lost money. A poll was conducted on Oprah's website, and the consensus was that 96% of the audience hated Leno and missed Conan. Eventually, Jay was replaced by Jimmy Fallon, and Conan O'Brien's show, Conan, was a massive success. Number 4. Monique. The beef between comedian and actor Monique and Oprah Winfrey goes back to 2010. Monique had just won an Oscar for her performance in Precious in 2009, and leading up to the film's premiere, Oprah interviewed Monique's brother Gerald, who Monique claimed to have been physical towards her growing up in a truly dark way. In a since-deleted Periscope video, Monique claimed that she gave Winfrey her blessing to do the interview, but was shocked and disgusted when her parents were in the audience. In the years that followed, Monique eventually forgave Oprah for creating such an uncomfortable moment for herself and her family. But following the show, Monique and her family did not make up. Exposing that kind of personal family information on TV destroyed the chances of anything, any kind of relationship ever materializing. Number 3. Mackenzie Phillips. When people see the words tell-all interview on their screens, there is an instant sense of mystery and we get hooked, especially when that celebrity is known for their outlandish behavior and highly documented substance use. Viewers of the Oprah Winfrey Show were probably still pretty unprepared for what was about to happen, though. The former One Day at a Time star Mackenzie Phillips appeared on her show in 2009 to promote and discuss her soon-to-be-released tell-all book, High on Arrival. She read aloud a passage describing how after waking up from a substance-induced blackout, she discovered her father John was physically forcing himself onto her. When Mackenzie confronted him, he denied everything, but she continued and claimed that the relationship did eventually become consensual, and that's when the audience turned. Mackenzie came on a highly publicized television program and aired her extremely dirty laundry to the world. The world, or should I say her family, responded to the claims and they were actually shocked and felt that these were completely untrue. Ever since that interview, her career and her relationship with her family and, well, everybody has been dark and rocky. Number 2. Sarah Ferguson. The royal couple are still something to behold, something that a lot of people in the world wish to hear about as often as possible. Back in the day, instead of Harry and Meghan, they had Sarah and Prince Andrew. Now, much like how Meghan and Harry came on Oprah's show to discuss their side of their story, Sarah did the same in the 1990s. Ferguson sat down with Oprah to discuss her time in the palace after 10 years of marriage to Andrew ended in divorce. According to Ferguson, living in the palace was anything but luxury. She told Oprah that the royal family life was not a fairy tale, but more of a dreadful existence adhering to nitpicked rules. For instance, the windows at the palace could only be opened a certain amount so that they all look in line. And she was reportedly berated one day when she opened a window and was told that it was the wrong thing to do. She also detailed the treatment that she had been receiving from the British media, who were and still are extremely invasive. She came back on the show a few times to basically go over the aftermath of the previous interview. Turns out the royal family doesn't like it when you trash it on TV. Who knew? And at number 1, Terry McMillan. One thing that Oprah loves to do is bring couples with issues onto her show to make a few bucks off of their problems. Best-selling author Terry McMillan based her novel How Stella Got Her Groove Back on her own life. Like the book's main character, she was a successful, divorced, middle-aged woman who found love again with a man 2 decades younger than her. According to Oprah's website, in 1995, McMillan took a trip to Jamaica and fell in love with a 20-year-old named Jonathan Plummer. Before long, they moved in together and got married, but they eventually split in 2005 when Plummer revealed that he was gay. Revealing the truth to the world resulted in a tabloid frenzy, and the couple started bad-mouthing each other to the press, with Plummer successfully suing his former wife for spousal support. The argument between these two came to a head thanks to Oprah Winfrey. Hosting both of them on her show in 2005, she allowed them to confront confront each other live on stage and let out all of their pain and frustration. Shortly after, McMillan sued Plummer for $40 million, citing emotional distress and destruction of reputation. The altercation on her show left McMillan feeling like she needed to make a statement, and she did. In doing so, she ruined the reputation of herself and her ex. And those are the interviews that destroyed lives thanks to Oprah Winfrey.